Thanks for joining us for another SCS Engineers webinar focused on carbon sequestration and deep well injection. In today's episode, Ms. Casey Garber will give us a 2024 outlook on geologic storage of carbon dioxide. Today, we're stepping into your shoes and asking ourselves some of the same questions you may have. Is this the right time to be thinking about a carbon sequestration project? Are federal and local regulatory agencies supporting these projects? Are there permits being issued? Where and who's issuing them? Are there financial incentives that are available? These are just a few questions that you may have. And after reviewing this webinar, you should have a little more clarity on that. But first, a little bit about our presenter. Casey has recorded several webinars for the SCS team, so you may be familiar with her. She's a professional geologist licensed in the state of Illinois. Her expertise lies in geologic site characterization, delineation of areas of review, and development of testing and monitoring plans for carbon sequestration storage projects. Over to you, Casey.
Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate the introduction and the overview of this webinar. Okay, over the past couple years, we have seen a significant number of new carbon capture and storage, or CCS, projects proposed and go into review with the respective regulatory agencies in the United States. So why have these projects been developing so rapidly? Well, climate change has become a center of attention, and manufacturers who are significant emitters of greenhouse gases are responding by incorporating CCS into plans for sustainable reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. The catalyst has primarily been the associated financial incentives that have come to light through the bipartisan infrastructure law of late 2021, namely the 45Q tax credits and the low carbon fuel standard credits as well. Additionally, CarbonSAFE grants through the U.S. Department of Energy's CarbonSAFE initiative are helping to fund significant portions of these projects. With all that in mind, I'd like to talk today about what we can expect for carbon sequestration in the U.S. during 2024. This will include a discussion of changes to Class 6 underground injection control primacy status in certain states, changes to the status of projects that are pending and in review, the shifting focus of CarbonSAFE awards, and the evolving project opportunities in both conventional and unconventional settings. This evolving project landscape will affect the development of future projects in numerous ways, which I'll discuss in the following slides. So let's start with an update on Class 6 underground injection control, or UIC primacy. At the time of this webinar, North Dakota, Wyoming, and Louisiana are the only states that currently have Class 6 UIC primacy or regulatory authority over the implementation of Class 6, as shown by the dark green colors on the map. The North Dakota Oil and Gas Division's Mineral Resources Group was the first to receive primacy in 2018, followed by the Wyoming Department of Environmental Quality in 2020. The Louisiana Department of Natural Resources just received primacy as of December 2023. All other states are shaded in this lighter green color, which indicates they have primacy held by their respective US EPA region number. Arizona, Texas, and West Virginia are all actively seeking or planning to seek primacy via application or a current UIC program revision, hence the diamond pattern. Finally, we note that regardless of US EPA Region 10 having Class 6 primacy, state regulations in Idaho explicitly prohibit the construction and use of Class 6 UIC wells at this time. Who has primacy in a particular area may have an impact on review timelines, as state-level primacy helps spread out the application review load. Let's take a look at some of the current applications that are under review with the various US EPA regions. Looking at this pie chart on the left, out of the 63 projects that are currently proposed through US EPA, over half of them are in Region 6, shown here on the map. 2/3 of those projects are in Louisiana alone, and again, we note that these projects will continue to be reviewed by Louisiana DNR now that they have primacy. Other regions with a significant number of projects in review include Region 5, which is dominated by projects in Illinois, and Region 9 with all of those projects in California currently. Regions 4, 7, and 8 all have a significant number of projects in review as well. Some of the projects that are proposed have multiple wells proposed with them as part of a commercial sequestration hub where smaller scale emitters can transport their CO2 for injection, and some have single wells or a smaller number proposed for sequestering CO2 for a particular facility. We've seen an uptick, particularly in the larger hub type projects, which is a good option for smaller scale emitters who are either uninterested or unable to develop a project on site for various geologic, economic, or other reasons. So all of this information on pending projects comes from a Class 6 permit tracker that's issued by the US EPA. It's publicly available and it's updated approximately every 2 weeks. So where are these projects at in their review timeline? The first step after submitting an application is for the agency to conduct a completeness review. And this can last anywhere from a few weeks to several months, depending on how well put together the application is, and it may involve addressing deficiencies as well. 89% of the projects that are currently under review have been deemed administratively complete. The 11% that haven't were all submitted during the second half of 2023, and some of those have issued notice of deficiencies that have not yet been addressed. This suggests that projects generally move quickly through the completeness review, so long as any notices of deficiency are promptly addressed. Looking at the chart on the right, of the administratively complete projects that are now undergoing their technical review, a substantial portion have already received one or more requests for additional information. These are common during the review process, but they should be promptly addressed to keep the review timeline on track. Many of the proposed projects were proposed this past year and will likely start to see those requests for additional information soon. These requests can be related to more technical aspects, like providing more substantial information related to area of review delineation or the proposed monitoring program, both topics of which we at SCS have webinars available online. Or they may be related to more societal impacts like environmental justice, which is a specialized area where Candy Elliott, our SCS national expert in environmental justice, provides her expertise. The Class 6 permit tracker also includes projected final permit decision dates for projects that are deemed administratively complete. The tracker projects that several of these permits under review will have final decisions published in 2024, where the application would be approved and the operator would receive their permit to construct, or the permit would be denied. The first on deck for a final decision is the Wabash Carbon Services project in Indiana, as early as first quarter of this year, followed by the Carbon TerraVault 1 Elk Hills 26R project in California in second quarter. An additional 9 projects are expected to receive final permit decisions in the latter half of the year. However, we do note again that with Louisiana receiving primacy, the timelines for those projects may change a bit. Out of this group of projects, the average projected review time from initial submittal to final permit decision is about 32 months, with the highest around 40 months and the lowest at 24 months. We note that this timeline is very much dependent on factors like notices of deficiency and the time taken to address those, as well as the amounts of requests for additional information and the time taken to address those requests. So let's take a look at the current Class 6 permits for North Dakota and Wyoming, both states of which have had primacy for multiple years now. North Dakota has 6 projects listed as having permits issued to construct, and of those, 3 have also received their permits to inject. These are the only projects currently permitted to inject in the U.S., besides the active injection that's ongoing at the Archer Daniels Midland in Decatur, Illinois. There are currently no permit requests listed online and no applications in review. The Wyoming Department of Environmental Quality just issued their first 3 permits to construct for the Frontier Carbon Solutions Sweetwater Carbon Storage Hub in southwest Wyoming at the end of 2023. There is 1 application that's still under review for a sequestration hub in eastern Wyoming, and the application for the Painter Reservoir CCS1 project was denied their permit in 2023. Again, we note that going forward, Louisiana Department of Natural Resources will be responsible for implementing their Class 6 program, accepting and reviewing applications, and issuing these permits. These data here suggest that having an established state UIC program for Class 6 may help expedite the application review process. Switching gears a bit, I wanted to highlight some updates regarding CarbonSAFE funding through the Department of Energy. In November 2023, an additional 16 projects were awarded federal funding through the CarbonSAFE initiative. Much of the project focus for this round had been on Phase 2, or storage complex feasibility, or Phase 3, which is site characterization and permitting. There is also a good geographic spread of these types of projects across several major basins in the U.S. As of December 2023, a new funding opportunity is open until February 20th, 2024, and is expected to have a notification of award in June 2024. One thing to note is that this funding opportunity has shifted focus more so on site characterization, permitting, and construction, with a significant number and value of associated awards. However, feasibility is still a priority, with several awards still anticipated, promoting the development of new projects. Another round of funding is likely to open up in late 2024 as well. To close out, I'd like to share this map that was developed by the U.S. Department of Energy and several university and national lab collaborators. This is a national map estimating the cost per ton of a typical 1 million metric ton per year project for 20 years of injection within a typical geologic storage window, where the darker colors indicate the lowest cost to develop a project. It was designed with a new cost estimating methodology that considers several factors like land costs, development costs, and geology. Many projects that are currently in development are focused in these green shaded areas where costs have been estimated within a typical storage window, such as the Illinois and Michigan basins, North Dakota and Wyoming, the Gulf Coast, California, and the Appalachian Basin. It also recognizes there are opportunities for developing projects in unusual or unconventional settings, like basalts is shaded in pink on the map. Though the costs for these projects are not yet defined with this methodology. However, there is a previous pilot project that was conducted on the Columbia River basalts in Washington State that showed the potential for economic amounts of mineralized carbon dioxide storage within basalts. And there is a second study in development now through the CarbonSAFE initiative in Hermiston, Oregon, called the HERO project, that will continue to help pave the way for future unconventional projects and help define the costs for developing those types of projects. This will be relevant to site owners or operators, particularly in the Pacific Northwest, who are interested in developing a CCS project, as well as some other basaltic areas in the U.S. where CCS has not yet been explored. To summarize, we expect CCS projects to continue to rapidly develop in 2024, with several new permits to construct expected to be issued and more new projects coming into the hopper. EPA Regions 6, 5, and 9, as well as the states that currently have Class 6 primacy, are currently leading in project development. This year, we can expect to see state-level primacy implemented in Louisiana and for Arizona, Texas, and West Virginia to make progress on applying. The current CarbonSAFE opportunity is applicable to projects at several different phases and is open until February 20th of 2024, with likely another opportunity coming later this year. Finally, we will continue to see project opportunities unfold both in the traditional large basin settings that currently dominate the project landscape, but also in more unconventional settings, such as basalts, through an upcoming CarbonSAFE project. With that, I'd like to thank you for your time and attention, and I will now turn it back over to Stephanie for some closing remarks. Thank you.
Thanks for the summary, Casey. We hope this overview addresses some of your pending questions and maybe even drives a few more. Casey and many of our other SCS team members have presented as several topics in this webinar series. touching on overviews such as what you saw today, community outreach, and deeper technical topics. Please feel free to check out our recordings and join us again for more topics that are presently in development. You can learn more by scanning the QR code on this screen. Meanwhile, please reach out to Casey or another one of our team members to schedule a brief discussion on whether engaging in a CCS project is right for your facility. On behalf of the SCS Carbon Sequestration and Deep Well Injection team, thanks for tuning in.